Hi, and welcome to Culture of Paint. On this episode, we're going to take a look at what's caught our eye over the last couple of weeks in the miniatures painting world. For the main segment, we're going to look at some Golden Demon entries that literally changed everything that came after them, and we'll close out the show, as usual, taking a look at what the hashtag Paint Cultists have been up to, as well as any questions from the chat. Now, Culture of Paint is aimed at a mature audience, and we might use explicit language and discuss adult themes. Now, let's talk about paint. And we are back. Good evening, chat. Everybody's in. Lovely. Right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Henry, and joining me, as usual, are Matt, Andy, and Rich. Good evening, chaps.
Hello.
How are we doing? Oh, some new names in the chat as well. That's grand.
New chatters. I haven't got
it's always nice.
Keep forgetting how I do chat.
To see people. Matt, YouTube's telling me that the stream's current bit rate is lower than something. Do I need to do anything, or do we just carry on?
No, it's probably just something to do with the interwebs.
Great. Well, don't need to worry about it. Tosh says sound is perfect, so that's good enough for me. Right. Let's crack on. I feel like it's been a good couple of weeks for hobby. I feel like my Instagram and whatnot and stuff, there's been plenty going on. So
it's always going on.
Let's take a look. Yeah, but it goes a bit all peaks and troughs, doesn't it?
People got Eldar in their hands, so it's been a good week.
That'll be it. Oh, I know. Yeah. So I suppose I should admit it. Like, I'm actually really enjoying painting the Eldar stuff. Like, sometimes for YouTube tutorials, like I paint them because they're good tutorials to do and all the rest of it. And I thought, I don't think we're even halfway through the Eldar ones at the minute. But yeah, you lucky people. If you're an Eldar collector, you lucky people. What an amazing range of minis you've now got to pick from.
Yep.
And keep prodding Andy here to get an army done of them. He's on the edge.
What a time to be alive.
You can vote in the comments, both way or same, Han, and I might listen to you.
Spoiler, definitely won't, but it's nice to
I was going to say, that's not going to make a blind
he won't listen to himself, so don't worry about it.
If it's unanimous, then it might affect my decision.
Put a poll out.
So let's see how many Eldars are in our picks of the week then.
So first up is...
yes.
Oh, nice. So I picked this one partly because I assumed we'd all want to pick it anyway. This is Roman's latest artwork. I think
is it old, but he's redone it or reposted it?
He did some posts about sort of displaying. He got a bunch of the different ones he'd done together, and was sort of saying, wouldn't it be cool to see him in like a gallery show and all the rest of it? And yes, I think it would. And this jives a lot with what we've been saying. I feel like for quite a few months now, the picks and the cultist stuff, we've been finding these little ones in frames and ones that are presented in a different way. And we're going to do a show on them coming up. But I thought, you may as well see one by one of the masters of the whole miniatures as art and presenting them in a different way, right?
Agreed.
And this is one of look at that bird flying out the back.
I was going to say it's the seagull. Gives you +1 to your hit roll.
Seagull green.
Yeah.
Have you been playing much of the new one or not?
I played that warband with the seagull, and it was boring as hell. So I'm waiting for something new.
Oh, that sucks. And I don't think it's based on any artwork, to the best of my knowledge. I think it's just a very cool representation of sort of Age of Sigmar now. That even though it's a whole new setting and all the rest of it, a lot of it still boils down to the old order versus chaos, light versus darkness, all of that. And I think it's just a wicked piece. And I love seeing them presented like this. It's just fun seeing miniatures shown in a different way.
I think they may be a bit screwed though. There is quite a lot of chaos around them.
I don't know, mate.
Goes +1.
Yeah, and these guys are literally made of lightning, aren't they? So I think they're fine.
If you'd have played any AOS, those 4 dudes are going to wipe out all of that lot. Even when they die, they'll kill them.
Yeah, those crappy rules. You all die if you kill me.
So who's your favourite on there? I've got mine. I've got 2.
Top right with the teeth over the spear.
Right. Oh, like the what you call it, manticore face. Yeah, that's
Little
cool.
crocodile going.
Yeah, nice. nice.
Seagull.
And then top left as well.
Yeah, top left's right up there. Bit of
the
manta
manta
ray
ray.
action. Yeah.
I think
Is that what that is?
Just the one nurgling.
I'm saying it's a manta ray.
It's a
Looks
thing,
like it.
isn't it? It's each. What should we call it?
Tease each.
He's each manta ray.
Manta.
So yeah, as usual, go check out Roman's account. It's amazing. It's just pure hobby joy, as is his blogspot, Massive Voodoo.
I think didn't he post this because there's a massive PDF you can get of how he did it? Is that? There you go. Get the PDF. Enjoy.
Yeah. Always shares what he does on the big projects. It's nice, man. Just feels like old school hobby, like when it was forums and blogs and all that, right? Before it was loads of YouTube and
kind of
clickbait
like
bullshit
days.
and all of that,
Kind of like those.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it giving you the nostalgia fuzzies? Was it?
Not so much.
It's nice when people
it's just
on
good,
blog.
It's good memories in it, and it's good. It's good to see some people still doing it.
True.
True. I think there's a real almost pressure I think people put on themselves, don't they, with Instagram and YouTube and all of this and reels and all this.
Every day.
You got to like actually just create fun things, and if you want to share them how you're comfortable, right?
Yeah, you've got to go look for it. It's not rammed down your throat.
Used to get excited when people update their blogs.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be throwaway content. It was a bit like Sopa's blog,
Yeah, that's another one, right?
It's brilliant. And there was a few blogs I used to follow back in the day, and it used to be like, new post, and it was like not 200 people on Instagram.
You always go on the whip forum on Bolter and Chainsword and Daka.
Yeah.
A time before reels is a good time because just these reels. I won't speak too negative because we're a positive podcast, but they can get in the sea.
Bob's saying tonight his daughter's watching with him. She's just opened her first Imperium magazine, and he's painting an epic scale Imperial fist for your night bases. Brilliant. She's all right with the odd rude word, so that's okay. We'll try and keep it.
I'm glad I said get in the sea.
To the odd rude word.
I was going to say that's going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, I reined it back.
Right.
That's behaviour now, boys.
What's up next? You're going to have to start being careful soon, mate, aren't you? They're at that age. Oh, great account. Who
This
chose
is
it?
my one. I have to bring up the text because there's no way I'm going to remember it all. So this is Gunther Block, Sergeant of the Krunheim Cavalgers of the City Watchman. It's a piece that's inspired by David Gallagher's old Empire sort of art, and I just thought it was wicked.
Do you know what it reminds me of, Matt? And I think it nearly got featured tonight, and it's Ben Jarvis's The Clockmaker, which was a Slayer Sword winner. Empire. It's that level of conversion. Yeah, almost a scratch, but you've used one head.
That was City Watch as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It could be any fantasy setting, right? But that's City Watch.
So I follow this account very closely, and it's pretty difficult for me not to just pick what he produces kind of every week because the level of detail that he's done to everything he does is incredible. They're all sort of, or the majority of them are like AOS old world style war bands, like Mordheim style stuff, and he's got some duelists which are they're all absolutely incredible, and the painting's incredible as well. There's a halfling who he wrote a bit of backstory for that used to run a pub called the Rooster, and it got burnt down, and he's got a shield with a rooster on the front of it, and it's just so good. It is so good.
I love that Mordheim old world Empire stuff. It's just great, and the green stuff work on it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think it's putty and green stuff next he uses to start with.
It's
a funny old colour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's polished though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's mostly putty with a bit of green stuff in it, I think, and then he polishes. Not sure though, but worth checking.
Answers on a postcard. What's your putty?
Right up my street. Great choice, Rich.
Next.
It weren't me. It was Matt.
It was Matt.
Sorry, it's because Rich was talking about his account. Sorry, dude.
So next up is...
This was me.
Right.
Obvious.
And obviously, so where's this one come from? Are you doing Gene Stealers now?
No, not
Oh.
even remotely close. No, this was, I saw it and I was like, oh, that is lovely because it's such an old kit. Like, that's such an old plastic kit. I can't remember the last time I even saw anyone paint one of these, let alone paint it well. No, this is more of an appreciation post for someone that's put that much effort into a kit that's that old and nobody gives a shit about.
Is this person an heavy metal painter?
Think so? Or
You haven't
was?
picked like a repost account or something, Rich? Have you?
No.
No, he did the really crisp ultramarine the other month as well, didn't he?
Because I mean that is textbook modern heavy metal, isn't it?
Yes, but I think there's quite a few painters like that who are very open about their whole I paint in the heavy metal style.
Well, it's a style, right? It's a wicked style, and I like the development of the GW style that we're seeing. I think we said it a few times at the MS, but this could literally be off the page of
100%.
Right.
I assumed it was.
Yeah, no, I just I picked it just because of the level of detail, like unbelievable. The amount of effort for something like that, like that's why it made me laugh a little bit because I couldn't even imagine a scenario or a world where I would put in that amount of effort into something like that. That's going to be for like an army, then like fucking hell.
That is lovely though.
It's just lovely. It's so simple. It's like it's maybe not to everyone's taste as a paint style, but it just brought me joy, and that's why it's in there.
I don't know. I'm finding myself more and more wanting to have a go at something like this, like just practice being clean and accurate and stuff.
I think everything has its place, depending on the project or the mood you're in or what you want to accomplish with it. You can 100% drop in and out of this sort of style of painting, dependent on what it is you're doing.
Do you think it works better on? I'm not going to say nostalgic models, as it were, but models like older models, so like this kit and like actually the Empire models, so a little bit like that conversion stuff. Like it feels like a very, and this is a great version of it, right? This is like the best of the heavy metal style in a way, right? And I feel like there's some kits more than others. Like I feel like Skaven work really well when they're painted in this style.
Do you know, for me, I think it's about the time frame that we remember. So I remember thinking back to the time frame that you're thinking, like the original Guard stuff, the Skaven stuff, back when we saw them painted in the heavy metal style, and it was completely unfathomable to us how they did it. I think that for me, that's the bit that I see. Like, this kit's been around forever. And when I see brand new kits that have literally like the brand new releases painted in heavy metal style, I'm like, okay, that looks great, but it doesn't evoke that same sort of feeling as when I see the older kits. But I think these still hold that, or I remember the wow factor when I saw them for the first time and was like, oh my God, how have they actually done that?
Like me and Andy were saying, as we do probably most weeks, what an awesome thing the Eldar Falcon is, right? As a model. And I think that's another good example, right? It's a 20-plus-year-old model that if it was painted to this standard would look absolutely fantastic, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think the level of painting, if you can paint anything to a high enough level, you can make any model, regardless of age, look good. I can guarantee you spent a long time doing the mold lines on those boys because they are old. But
yeah, bet some of that detail's been painted in, right? Especially like some of the more recessed parts.
Yeah, I would say so.
Push that a bit, eh? No, that's wicked, mate. Is it an army or is it just is the account more of like a one-off paint? Oh wow,
bloody hell! Cadians as well.
But if it's not, I think I like it a little bit more. If it's not, because what a fucking random model to pick as a one-off. He didn't pick a HQ or a vehicle or a Sentinel, which is awesome. Nah, mate, last cannon.
God, you couldn't pay me to do that model.
No, just nothing about it tickles you.
Acadians, absolutely not. And then a las cannon, nah. That's like, when you do a tank and you're like, oh, I've got to do the guns now. But like this is like you've got to do the las cannon. Oh. But yeah, it's incredible. My favourite bit's the shoulder pad with the grey and the green worn. That's boss.
My favourite bit's the brown edge on the base.
No,
it's not goblin green.
I wasn't gonna mention that. But
so what's that? Mid noughties when it switched to that?
Just don't do it.
I don't know why I've got such a hankering to do something.
Do your next kill team, mate.
If your base
why
is
don't you do
around
your next kill team like more this style and do the bases?
I might do actually. Like I'm thinking of the tile that I did. I gave them all black edges on the rims. I might paint them all brown.
No, don't cheat. Start something new. Keep on rolling. But we're going to come to your.
Keep telling Rich to start something new
in a minute.
Can't do that.
But we'll come.
It's on video. It's
shortly.
on video.
Don't worry, we'll get you back in the program.
That's giving someone in rehab like a swig of whiskey. Do something new, Rick. You haven't started anything new for at least a day.
I believe in you, Rich. You've completed more stuff than most of us this year.
Yes, Ed.
Right, one more pick, and then we'll talk about what you've achieved, Rich. Oh, that's rad.
Ooh, I picked this. So yeah, it's David Aroba. He's got a Kickstarter on at the moment, actually, and I was going to show his box art, but I like this model. But yeah, have a look at his account. He's got a brilliant Kickstarter. I did a box art for it. Nobody picked it. That's fine. But yeah, this model I picked because I actually really, really want a copy of this figure. It's from Terrible Kid Stuff. It's really old. It's sold out straight away, like sold out about 6 years ago. So it's really nice to see a painted version of it. I really, really want one. So, yeah, it's Alan Carrasco sculpt, who's one of my favorite sculptors. Brilliant paint style. Yeah, the skin's just awesome. Orc in human color.
Yeah,
I love
such a good idea.
feathers.
I love it.
The feathers, yeah, that's the reason I want the figure. Is the feathered hat, and it's it's just got a little club. I love everything about it. John Keyes painted one when we went, and the first year we went to Monty, and I was like, "What is that figure? I want to buy it." Sold out.
Wasn't it? It was purple, wasn't it? Or it had a lot of purple tint in the skin, I think.
Yeah, it was green with purple shading.
Yeah, I remember that was a great model. I love this. Especially love the thing that would have totally stood on that red, deep burgundy red with the blue.
Blue eyes on the
top. Those two mix, that color mix, that burgundy and blue.
Is it yeah, that is quite you, isn't it? Are they painted on shadows, mate, or is it lighting?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, because he's quite well known for that, right?
Well, Ruben is painted shadow.
He's best known for it, yeah.
David obviously paints a lot with Ruben, so yeah, it's cool, isn't it? And if you've got a copy of this figure, then send it to me, and that'd be great. That's the only reason I wanted it as my pick, so I could advertise.
So you can try and blag for it. Why not, mate? Hey, we're ad free. You might as well try and get something. Joanna's building Eldar Rangers, lovely.
Imagine Eldar Rangers that red and blue colours.
Mate, I loved painting that L3 Guardian. Like everyone should do that.
Save the Elder episode, all right?
Do that. Sorry, right. Just need to go and have a bath in dwarf miniatures. Right, so that's it for picks. What's up next, Matt? I don't think there's a meme or anything, right? Yes, here we go. So, our man, if you remember the last episode, which we had a really lovely response to, so thanks everyone, and it certainly got me and quite a few of my mates hyped for Kill Team. Rich went through sort of getting into Kill Team and how it's sort of given his hobby a bit of direction and so on and so forth. All with an idea with you and a couple of mates were going up to Warhammer World, right? To have a bit of a giggle, drink some beers, roll some dice, play some Kill Team, and then walked away with Best Painted.
Yeah, man.
So congratulations, dude, for many reasons.
Thank you very much. Massive congrats to the other wizards that made the trip up with me as well. So thank you to them. But yeah, it was this was kind of like the culmination of phase one, I'm calling it, for this year's hobby, which was to do a couple of kill teams. Q1, do some kill teams and get into an event. Went up to the Warhammer World event this week, weekend just gone. Never been to a gaming competition in my entire life to enter. Never been to anything like that. So I was a bit nervous going in because, I think everyone's heard the horror stories of playing against somebody that maybe isn't there for the right reasons and is potentially maybe there just to win, and it's not about the process. And I couldn't have had a better time if I'd have tried. Everyone we met, everyone we played against was just an absolute legend. They were so fun, so friendly, so welcoming. There was a mix of people that were clearly very experienced and some that were clearly very new. And whichever one you played against, they just made you feel really welcome, and it was just a really brilliant time. It was, the hobby buzz since then has been unreal, awesome. And it's just sort of concreted the idea of going and doing as many of them as possible. And we were super lucky enough to win Best Painted Team. So the three of us together as a joint team.
So who were your fellow wizards? This is your gaming club, right?
Yeah. So John and Paul came up with me for the weekend. We won't talk about how many games we won because
no.
Well, no, actually, I won 2. Paul.
So we will talk about it then.
No, we will. Go on, fuck it, we will.
John won all his games and the others did nothing.
No, John lost 1. He absolutely carried us. He lost 1 game. I won 2, and Paul unfortunately did not.
How many did you play?
6.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, mate, I'll take it. Yeah. My aim going into this was to go win a game and win something for painting.
There we go.
Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. And it was interesting to see though the mix of the different kill teams that people were taking and what is super effective when in the right hands comparative to when it's in, for instance, my hands. So space marine to share.
That's boring. Like what was the spread of hobby like? Like was there a lot of like how many people there? Was it like a 20, 50, 100? What like?
I think it's probably about more than 50. I don't know exactly how many teams.
18 teams was it?
So 18 or 20 teams, 3 person to a team.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
60 people.
And a pretty good spread of armies represented, like.
Yeah, definitely. There was obviously the powerful kill teams that were there,
right?
Which is just to be expected. But my favorite bits and some of my favorite opponents and my favorite games were against people that they took kill teams that you could just tell that they loved because they put a hell of a lot of effort into them. So there's a chap who I played who I tagged on my Instagram. He had a Imperial Guard. You'd loved it, Henry. It was an Imperial Guard kill team that when all the there's these super powerful Creek and everything.
Yeah.
He literally just took Imperial Guardsmen and Scions, but they were made out of the old the old like Beastmen Necromunda style models from like the 90s, the metal one.
Ooh.
All converted out of Beastmen and Scouts, and he'd put so much effort into the conversion and the painting. It was just, it was amazing. That was my favorite game because it was just fun.
Human kill team.
Yeah, it was great. But hobby spread was amazing. Loads of different styles of painting, loads of like different levels of painting, and it was just a bloody brilliant time all round.
So any kill teams you saw that you were like, oh yeah, I fancy that to be number 6 or whatever it is you're on now? Like what?
Krieg getting that finished, I think, because they're powerful, but they're also very thematic and they're very fun feature. That I really want to get my Tau finished for the next one because I started that for this one, but wasn't confident enough in the rules to take it with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I played a couple of the Tau teams whilst we were away, and it was cool. I would like to have a go at getting that done. But now I just want them all. Like I wanted them all beforehand, but now I really want them all. But I want them all in various ways. So there's some that I just want to paint really quickly to play with because I think they'll be really fun to play. And there's some that I want to paint as make it a bit special and enter it for that reason. So I want to do all of it basically. So I'm fucked again because now I've got to.
So that was Q1. That's your swear for the first segment.
All right.
So that was Q1 mission accomplished. The rest of it.
Yeah.
Have you actually got the year plotted out a little bit? Like I did it last year and it worked quite well for me. But like, could you just want to keep the kill team buzz going, or you?
Yeah, I do want to keep the kill team buzz going, but I also want to progress it now to just sort of competition. So next goal for this year is to do 1,000 points and enter it into a tournament of either AOS or 40k.
Oh, wow, nice.
Just do a different tournament like that. I do want to do another kill team tournament, but because that was such a positive experience, I want to see what the other ones are like. So enter a 40k tournament at some point, and then enter a heresy tournament sometime later on in the year if heresy gets the rumored kickstart that it's supposed to be having.
Only on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Games Workshop's first Kickstarter.
Heresy.
That's great to hear, mate. That's
right.
That's really, really cool. Good job as well, because obviously
thank you.
We can't have you going and not winning painting.
I mean, yeah,
it'd be very disappointing. And a shout out to your mate Paul, who I believe did his classic, the rite of passage of staying up all night before the event painting.
He did, yeah. He was up really late beforehand,
and learning the rules that week, wasn't it?
And he was learning the rules that week. God love him. And then that night when we had the first day, and then we went to Pit and Pendulum in Nottingham and stayed up drinking far too much, far too late. So then by Sunday afternoon, game 3, we were fucked. But it was a great time. Great hobby time.
Good place though, Pit and Pendulum.
Yeah,
it's epic.
love it.
You can't go to Nottingham and not
Got
go.
to visit every time. Hopefully we'll get back there. Get back there this year. Nice one, dude. Well, I look forward to these. What I guess now is going to become a semi-regular Richer events segment.
I hope so. Yeah. Oh,
we need to give you a camera.
That top left picture's absolute gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did seem to be wearing like pajamas most of the weekend, right? Just dirty sweatpants. And
mate, do you know how hot it gets in there?
No.
Mate, it was boiling, and I remember from the Golden Demon days how hot it can get. So yeah, shorts and t-shirt. Nice. It was also great as well. Some feedback. I was wearing the Cult Paint t-shirt, so some of the guys there came over and said that they listened and watched the podcast. And
that's lovely.
They were loving it. So it was lovely to see and meet those guys too. So shout out to everyone that was there and came and said hi and all our opponents and whatnot. It was super, super cool.
Mega. Well, I love it. It's got me excited, mate. I've got a few things I have to get done for work, but then I think it might be Warcry as opposed to Kill Team. It's the direction I think I might be going for a bit.
Do that. I'll play it. I got Warcry. I got Warcry Warbands. I can do that.
There's a few. I want another crack at them Cruel Boys, and I think Warcry might be the way to go at it. Try
do it.
In fact, I'm picking up my Shaman off Andy this weekend. I can't wait.
Finally.
Old Boggle Eye. Well, not Boggle Eye, but yeah, another one. Nice one. Right, so shall we move on to the main segment? So this is something we had an idea for a fair few months ago, actually, and I think with the response we've had to the Golden Demon episodes, and obviously with Golden Demon US coming up in, what's the countdown, Matt? Like 9 days or something.
Go.
there we are. So not very long. We thought we'd just sort of keep the hype going. We'll talk to Matt and Andy hopefully from the event with any luck, but certainly when they're back as well. But what we thought we'd take a look at is some of the pieces, especially taking advantage of the fact that we've got 2 fairly massive Golden Demon nerds amongst us, to take a look at some entries over the last sort of 10-20 years that have legitimately changed the face of the competition. They've introduced something that has changed everything that therefore comes after. It's a sort of truly seminal bits of work. And me and Rich can enjoy looking at pretty pictures, aren't we, mate?
Yeah, man. Can't wait.
So take it away, Matt.
So first up.
Was this Albert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
When he was a young pup. I wish I'd asked.
Jesus Christ, 2006.
Yeah, he was like, was he 16 or 17?
He must have been something teen.
He was basically a young blood and got the Slayer sword.
That is a strong flex.
That's so the reason we picked this one, I believe this is true, but this was why they introduced a glove for when you lift the sword, because he cut himself on it. I believe. I think this is the piece. Yeah,
I always knew that was the case. That someone, when you picked up a sword, grabbed it, and you got to wear a butcher's glove now. But if it's him, that's amazing.
I believe this is the piece. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But I'm pretty sure it is. He also cut his wedding cake with the Slayer sword from this piece. So.
Again, a massive flex.
Yeah.
If you go to Albert's account, which is criminally low followers, the other day he found some old shots of the greens, as it were. It's not greens, it's mostly
yellow.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see it.
It's incredible, the sculpting on it, and I think it's quite a subdued look compared to his latest stuff, like his dwarfs with lots of NMM. So it's good to see his progression in that way, but also that he was always insanely good. Like, yeah, he's just always been unbelievable conversions, because he kind of still does the same thing now, is borderline scratches a model, paints it perfect, and wins a big prize since 2006. I'm really looking forward to seeing Albert compete in the UK Demon, because he lived in Japan for years and now he's moved to London. So
in London,
yeah, I mean, people are like, when people are talking about who's going to win the sword at next demon, I'm like, don't you forget about Albert back in the mix. So
he painted that the Goblin Shaman as like a little piece, and that was just ridiculous.
If I could have a piece, I'd put that in there. It's unbelievable that.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. I always find it like I love his, and it's a really weird thing to say, but I love his hobby space. When you imagine, I don't know why, I don't know if you get it, but when I imagine like these like next level painters, I imagine them in these like almost like spy caves of hobby where they're like have all these super duper equipment. Whereas Albert's, he's got like a dinky little desk in the corner that he just sits at, like one model at a time, like.
Yeah, and only old paints. Only
old paints.
Classic Citadel paints.
Nothing on the table, no like screens or cables or any of that shit. He just sits there, just badgering away. Like, it's great.
But yeah, I think that we included that mainly for that reason, because we believe it was the glove piece, and that's why it gets what changed the game. But it also, it's just an unbelievable.
And a very young winner as well at that point.
Yeah.
I think the only
and
person...
UK demon as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Tough.
I don't know why. Like this was come out when I was on my sort of hobby sabbatical, but for whatever reason, I don't know whether I'd gone on Cool Mini or not by that time. Maybe I picked up a White Dwarf because it had Lord of the Rings or something like that on. But I remember this piece from the time, and it was, having been out of the loop for a couple of years, seeing this was like, Jesus Christ, like this has come on a bit, Things have moved on quick. Well, that's a snotling next to it, isn't it? So it's
that's nice.
Yeah.
I always thought that was big scale.
No, it's got original parts in it. Go look at the green. It's incredible.
Oh shit! Yeah, the shield.
Yeah, and the back banner thingy, that's off Grimgore, I think, isn't it? That's the.
I always thought that was big scale.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Oh.
I love how limited the colours are on it as well.
Yeah,
it's just yeah. I know.
Wow.
I know this segment isn't meant to be just about like fawning over lovely looking models. It's a little bit more to do with
it really is
why they were significant. Well, if we just do lovely models, I mean, we could just stream 24 hours a day.
I'd love it. Imagine the spreadsheet.
But it really is like, yeah. This is how I'd like to paint.
What's really cool about it as well is that it's like 2006, quite a while ago, but.
Yeah.
If you took that on a white background now, not the classic blue, it would still hold. Yeah, even now, you could enter that now and it would still place.
Has anyone seen it in real life before?
I've seen most of his stuff, but this no. But he's doing private coaching now. I think we should go.
I do believe he has.
Albert, if you're watching, let's do a
he has
private
his cabinets back in Spain, and he has pretty much every piece he's ever painted, I think.
Right.
So
let's get in the minibus.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's break in.
Let's go. Well, I wasn't thinking break in, but we could just go visit.
Just ask nicely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do well in a Spanish prison.
You wouldn't do well in any prison.
No.
They'll eat you alive.
Rich would do well.
Well, let's be fair, neither of you two are going to do well in the Spanish outside either, so we should probably...
Yeah, that's true. I'll burn.
I have to get covering for my forehead.
Down that rabbit hole. So game changing because you now have to wear a glove, even though the swords now couldn't cut butter.
Oh, they in the UK ones, they give you the Raven Armory piece still, and then they give you the to hold up.
Oh, cool.
Not to keep.
Yeah, because there was one in when I was at in the events, not the events hall, when I was in the display at the weekend. They've got one up there. It looks way bigger. Is the new one smaller? Because the old, it's got the old Raven, like the official one, on the wall, and it looks massive.
It's pretty. Yeah, I don't know if they've got like a replacement one, possibly, but I think they just break that one out of the cabinets, don't they? For the possibly.
I don't know.
But it's very sharp and pointy.
Just saying in the chat that Albert tends to spend like 600 hours on a piece. Like
discipline.
That is discipline, right? We've talked about it before. That's how you get to these places, right?
Imagine
That's one
me
way
and
of
him
doing
having a conversation about painting something. It would be useless.
By the time he's done that long on the project, you'll have come full circle back to the first project you'll have wanted to do, right?
I've probably still not finished any of them either.
Yeah, but it's all about the journey, mate. Right, what's up next for our next game changer?
Yes.
Yeah, this for me is unbelievable. Not a full scratch build, but a heavy conversion work, unbelievable paint job, and I remember at the time everyone was like, a Space Marine attack. So it's the tactical Marine kit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically a converted tactical Marine, not in some big massive thing, just a Marine on a base, won the Slayer sword, and it's just absolutely perfect and super interesting. And I think, well, obviously Albert Talk won a Slayer sword, but it's just showing that heavy conversion work, unbelievable paint job on a single mini can do it.
This is one of those minis that is responsible for my complete love of all things Space Marine, as this was 2008, so that's just when I was actually getting into the hobby for the first time. So seeing stuff like this, I was just blown away.
It's also very heavily weathered, which weathering's become more prominent now, but in 2008 it wasn't loads of weathering. So to see a heavily weathered figure win the Slayer sword, I think is pretty significant personally. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, definitely. Because this was definitely ahead of its time then, because it almost like this won the Slayer sword, and then we had an intermittent period where it got cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, and then it feels like kind of just around now that it started to go back.
Well, I think this is absurdly clean. That freehand shoulder pad is so perfectly rendered with that really nice orangey blue color. The freehand's perfect and damaged. Just that shoulder pad is like unreal. But looking at both the shoulder pads, actually, they're the really heavily converted, loads of green stuff on them. Paint's unbelievable. I remember the chest. This is when I just got into the hobby, I think 2007. So this, I saw a couple of Slayer swords around this time, and I just couldn't believe the sculpting work on the chest. And I was like, oh, I wish that was cast and you could have an army of these. I don't know, snake skull men. I don't know what the chapter is.
Medusa or something? I think it's something like that.
I thought it was a made up one he just did.
Yeah.
Even better if we did.
Yeah, it's I don't know what else to say on it really. It's just an unbelievable Space Marine. And I think the same again is this: you could enter this now and it'd be it would win.
Yeah.
It's so
this really evokes that awe and wonderment that I think I do lose a little bit now that we've been painting for such a long time, when you understand how things work. I remember looking at this and just didn't understand how it was possible, because I remember looking at my Space Marine that I had at home and then looked at that and went, wait a minute, there's a disconnect here. Not sure what it is, but there's a disconnect.
It's just they were so far ahead of their sort of their time period for when they were painting. But the style that the style that they painted there is what's kind of just happening more now.
I agree.
It's kind of a cool time travel thing.
Yeah, I mean,
do we know if that person still paints?
I don't think so. He did win a lot from that time, and then he stopped after this. I think he did a load of Grey Knights that used to win in 2004 and 5.
Oh, the one with the Grey Knight with the halberd behind him.
No, it was the Forge World Dreadnought, and it was metallics, but it was shaded with purples and blues, loads of color in the silvers, which at the time was pretty crazy. But then he peaked with this piece, I think.
We think that from the chat, we think that the chapter is the Iron Snakes.
Yeah, I wondered whether it was Iron Snakes.
Cheers, Leshat. No idea, but it's really good. I'd love this would be in my top 10 wish I could own pieces. I reckon. The colouring on the armour blew my mind as well, because it's kind of purple into blue, but super desaturated. desaturated palette, loads of battle damage. I just think that's way ahead of the curve at 2008.
Could have been painted yesterday.
I'd love to sit with like some of the Golden Demon judges that maybe would have done this and just be like, what did you think of this at the time? What were you talking about? Was anything else even close? Or were you like, boom, that's the Slayer sword?
Yeah, was that an instant when they saw it in the cabinet and were like, boom, straight away?
Yeah, I'd love to pick the brain of Darren or whoever was judging this, and just see what they thought of it, because they must get blown away by this stuff as well.
Definitely.
Well, and again, back then, much less prevalent social media, still there, obviously, but really, Cool Mini or not, the forums, it certainly wasn't sort of Instagram like there is now.
Instagram didn't exist 2008.
Yeah. So
miniatures never really made it onto like MySpace or anything like that, did they?
No. Thank God.
No.
But I mean, so as you were saying, Andy, the judges, this piece turns up, and because you'd like to assume that the judges are fairly well sort of kept abreast of what's going on in the painting community, right? That you hope they're sort of paint nerds in that. I mean, I would anyway.
Definitely are now, aren't they? Because they can. And they can death scroll just like us.
Yeah, but it must have been quite exciting back then to have not had that ability, right? So just wondered. I wonder what will show up.
And I hope there's still an element of that in this GD. I hope there's some stuff that's a mega surprise and it's cool. But I think, you're right. Back in the day, it would be way less. You'd see it all after, because
it's really tough now. I think it's probably a conversation for another time. But if anything, it's increased the importance of going to shows, because I could go on Instagram right now and look at hundreds of incredible miniatures, right? So and just because someone's won an award for something doesn't mean anything in the one sense. If you want to see a great painted miniature, right? Because there's a lot of people who won't go to painting competitions or whatever. But you said a lot of times, right? Seeing it in the flesh, seeing it in your hand or in the cabinet, it's completely different understanding then of what there is.
It gives you a different buzz as well. And I when me and Rich did a trip to Warhammer World a few months back after 2 years off and stuff, it was so good to see miniatures in real life, because it's brilliant. We can all share stuff and look at cool stuff, but it's such a different feeling. And I was super jealous. Like Rich was sending us pictures at the event of the weekend of the Heavy Metal Eldar, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what I want to do with Eldar, and if I saw them in real life, it would change my feeling. You just can't sit on the internet. You need to see these things.
It's very true. I think if you saw the red Heavy Metal Eldar, you'd probably lean very much into that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. My buddy Dan messaged wasn't Kill Team, it was the weekend before, the whatever it was, the celebrations.
The 25-year one.
And he was just like, yes, I need to get all of these Eldar, please. Like, it's like they've got all the avatars, they've got all of this. Like, it's insane. Like, and I think even more so given what's happened the last 2 years, now there's that thirst, isn't there, to just see some models in whether it's your mates at the club, whether it's competition, whether it's cabinets at Warhammer World, like just seeing them again, seeing them not 2D.
It was amazing, even for like someone like myself who competition and that level of painting isn't as much of a factor for me as it is for other people, but just to see models painted really well in the flesh that are, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to see my friends and everyone's, but you become numb to it to a degree, because it's you see it so often. Whereas going and seeing some proper heavy metal style ones was great, and seeing some of the massive armies in the other cabinets was great too. It did give you I was like, that little hobby buzz is back.
That was awesome. So just in a nutshell, Andy, the game changing element of this was what, just basically how much work could be done on a single figure,
on a marine, I think.
I was going to say on a relatively nondescript single miniature, right? Not a special character, not a For me, I think the paint style at the top, it's really hard to go back to the feel, because I got into the hobby about 2007 for a couple of years and dipped out. So this was in, and I couldn't, and I was just like, wow, and I think
I think what you said, it's just a Marine. It's a tactical Marine with that limited edition metal hammer. I can't remember what model that was from.
I think it's was it the Demon Hunter dude?
What was it? The Games Dave?
Nah, that's not Cody as his hammer.
No?
That is the best hammer ever made.
It's
I
a
got it
Space
today,
Marine
actually.
veteran, isn't it? It's
the
Space
Games
Marine.
Day one.
Yeah, the one like that or something.
Yeah.
2007 Games Day hammer. Anyway, it's a tactical Marine. It's unbelievable. Paint job's perfect. It's got loads of battle damage, and it's 2008. That's for me.
Nice.
What do you reckon?
Love it. Right. Next.
Click the button.
This is a good friend of ours.
More modern. 2014.
Much more modern.
Jesus Christ, was that
And at the
long
beginning
ago?
of the onslaught of mini demons, wasn't it? This was sort of on the cusp of that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, this was Rich and myself's first demon together. We met in 2014 and we said, let's go to Golden Demon. And Rich was like, that's going to get the sword. And I was like, what, that yellow and grey robot? Really? Do you think that? And he was like, yep, get in sword, pal. And I was like, all right, fair enough.
Called it.
And I remember that every person there thought this was transfers because nobody was doing freehand this clean and flat. And this is why I need to see Rich's stuff in real life, because that freehand in real life is so much better than the internet. But luckily, people go nuts for his stuff on the internet. But in real life, it's so smooth and flat.
A bit different.
And yeah, this does stand out, I think, as a Slayer Sword winner. It's not a character model. It's not super.
It's a Forge World model.
It's not.
It's
actually,
not it's not a mainline game. It's not even a mainline army from a niche game.
God, it's pretty obscure, isn't it?
Yeah,
especially back then. Like when we first saw it, I didn't even know what it was.
No.
I imagine a lot of people now wouldn't, because as far as the best of my knowledge, you can't do these in 40k.
No.
So
takes them in heresy either. Like it's not a Marine.
So that's a pretty brave choice, right? Because presumably there's some games to be played with picking maybe a slightly more obscure miniature, right?
Yeah, not a Leviathan.
Yeah, exactly right. Not a Leviathan, right? But this is really sort of taking a punt, right?
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily why you've picked this as a game changer, right? The fact that it was as you say, a relatively obscure model.
I think the reason I would say it was a game changer is the battle damage, actually. Like, I think we had years of kind of really clean stuff, super shiny, like winning golds, this and that, which is cool because it's awesome. But at the time, this really felt like a rogue win. Everyone's like, that Thanatar won the Slayer Sword and the Forge World Best of Show. It got all three, didn't it? Gold sword. Did it get Best of Show? Forge World?
It did, yeah. But I was just shaking my head at how ridiculously good that is.
And yeah, people's like, oh, that Thanatar with the transfers one. Oh, they're not transfers. It's just that good. Yeah, it is just that good. And the color scheme's amazing as well. Gryffindor, whatever.
This kind of ushered in the start of, especially when I was into the demons, that was the style. This was the first one of that style for like a 3 or 4 year period. Every vehicle that went to a golden demon, either a big one or a small one, was painted like this. The battle damage, either transfers or freehands, whatever. But this style of battle damage,
it did change it, didn't it?
Yeah, everyone.
Man's in the chat, so keep massaging. I'm sure he's loving it, and I hope you're feeling better. Bud.
Yeah, stop watching this and get on with your demon entry for the next week.
Yeah, you should be painting, mate. I don't know why you're listening to us now.
Get that model done.
He's not a very good painter anyway. But
he's got to be one of the most imitated painters, I think. If he does something, people copy it, and you see loads of copies. Like, he's one of the most.
It's also one that we talk about it, don't we? It's a painter that their work instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is quite an achievement in the sort of oversaturated world we've got now with being, or if you choose to anyway, consume so much. But this I suppose because this was a model from a game I enjoyed, and this was again, I was getting back in the hobby around this time, a bit earlier actually. This one feels like the most relevant game changer that you've spoken about, partly because going to competitions for the few years after this, it was really obvious to see.
It was a big wake.
Like the imitation and the emulation of this was and this was the catalyst for it. You did a Thanatar, didn't you, Rich? You did a grey and red one.
I did.
Yeah. Did a few.
Done a few, yeah.
Used to kill everything, but you chose the Las Cannon one, which was crap.
Yeah, it does look the best, but
you need to see Urchin, pal.
Yeah, I did it. I ended up 2 of them, but yeah, I did do a Thanatar for a gold.
But you entered it, didn't you? Sorry, that's my point. You entered it into GD, didn't you?
I did indeed.
Yeah. So
great model for it.
And won with it.
Yes, I won a bronze.
There we go. Good work.
Won some up for it. Come on, Matt. What did I win? You should know.
It did, because this is the year me and Andy won. It was you, me, and Andy in that.
Was it us 3?
I think that's the one.
That was the year.
I think that was
no way.
We did. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I thought that were different.
Look at us now talking into the internet.
Well,
but yeah, I'm sure most people watching this are aware of Rich's account, but he's still there. He's still, much as is Albert, but he's still producing the goods.
He's progressed on from this style.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the reason we picked this is there was a wake of people imitating this style, especially the battle damage. And people would enter stuff and be like, that's a rich grey battle damage piece. That's another one that's like a rich grey style thing. So he really set the standard, especially for vehicles and Horus Heresy stuff. But everyone was imitating that for GD, and he's moved on a lot himself, and doing different style things, and that's really cool to see. But also, even though he won a GD years back, relatively kind of came out of nowhere and went, oh, I'm going to enter again. Boom, here's a Thanatar.
Yeah.
Because he won with a Greater Demon of Slanesh in, I don't even know the year. Was it 90s or was it 2000s?
Something but it was like Youngbloods, wasn't it?
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
We ought to get him on, really, didn't we? We ought to do a little bit of a show.
Only if he enters next week. Otherwise,
That's a good point. Right, lovely.
1999.
Yeah, there you go.
Was it Youngbloods, like you said?
It was a Battle Monster.
This is it. No one can escape from Matt now. If you've entered Golden Demon, Matt's got you.
So 15-year break, comes back in with a Slayer sword and sets a new style. Pretty good.
It's not
pretty
bad,
good.
Man. It's not bad.
Even Rich didn't get the year right. He said 1998. Even Matt knows more than Rich does.
Yeah.
Right. Next one.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyone remember this?
Got a lob on for Nids at the minute, so this is a good one.
This one's interesting, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but the picture does not do the justice on this. It doesn't look unbelievable in this photo. It just doesn't. But it is, and at the time it was silly. The amount of texture and different things. And I think it's stuff we go, that's simple now. But the gloss work on the various parts and all the different matte and finishes on it were pretty crazy. And it was just when this kit came out, I think.
Must have been, yeah. Must have been. Was this a French or a Spanish painter?
Yeah, it's David Rodriguez, who's Spanish. And he's done actually a bunch of his stuff, I would say, is pretty seminal. Particularly his Ulrich, the Slayer, holding the wolf.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favourite piece of his, but I think this one was more unusual. And the amount of texture and the palette was just really different, I think. Got any thoughts on it, Matt?
Yeah, it was a very different style again, bringing that sort of more European, desaturated, pastel-y sort of colours across.
If you went on Cool Mini or Not around, late 2010, maybe the artists, like all the top models look like this.
Yeah.
That style, that palette,
I wish I could get some better 2022 photos of it just to show how much is missing in the photo that you just can't see. It's
the carapace, isn't it? The amount of colour in and texture. There's like hidden colours all in the carapace, and hundreds of them. And I remember reading the hour count because I think there was a blog on every step of this.
Right.
And it was silly. Wow. The process on the carapace was silly.
But this is one of those examples, right, of where someone's approached painting a miniature from a very artistic standpoint, right? They're not, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but they're not colouring in a miniature, right? They're not just colouring it in really well. You know, they're not just painting it really well or whatever, right? They're as you're saying, they're making a lot of choices with what they do with the colours and so forth.
He was so meticulous. He was just unbelievably meticulous. I think that's kind of a running theme with all of these winners. It's just they've just put in too much effort, as Rich would say.
Literally.
Yeah.
Way too much like hard work.
I don't know. Don't have much more to say really, apart from bonkers colour palette, and it was just
Got Colin sent in the chat. Looks a little bit like sort of David Soper-esque, like certain bits of it.
Was David really entering that time? Because he was obviously entering early and then came back in a more like 2011-12 era, wasn't it?
So, I mean, when was this? 2007, this one? So I think David came back 2013.
Yeah, with the
Skink Priest. And the Dark Elder thing. But this he wasn't. You think he had his blog going, but not a huge amount of stuff on it.
Which is
thanks.
Sorry, mate, go on.
I was saying, I think it was really cool to see the Carnifex win at the time as well. It was like a Tyranid. You just didn't really see that. Didn't see Tyranid. It was always good guy characters, Space Marines, which is cool. A Tyranid, and not even like, I don't know. Yeah,
Rich is saying in the chat, do you think this was early airbrush? But no one really knew about airbrushing in fantasy miniature painting, or Golden Demon, certainly.
I tell you who was pretty early on the airbrush was Mark Tate. He used to do amazing Tau conversions, like really mix them up, and he was airbrushing early doors. He used to do some stuff for Forge World, actually. Like, do you remember the Revenant time, which was red and white? He did that for Forge World. Like, he didn't work for Forge World. He just did it for him. Like, I don't know.
I don't think anyone actually worked for Forge World for about the first 10 years. Just people just did stuff on their lunch breaks.
Yeah, maybe it was like one of the first sort of with using some airbrushing. I don't know, but yeah, it was another one that just felt different, and people were like, oh, that's.
And was this that? As I said, like to me, coming back in, it felt, you know, I'd spend hours and hours on Cool Mini or Not, and it really began to feel like the French style and the Spanish style was the thing. That was where it was at, right? Was this the beginning of that, or was this simply a very good proponent of it?
I think
that happened to come to the UK Demon as well, rather than just doing the continental ones.
This was kind of like almost peak, like the Spanish and French teams coming around on the circuit.
Early mid 2000s, all those guys.
It's fair to say as well, right, that if you're talking about game changing, right, it's just fundamentally better painted than a lot of stuff that's gone before it, right? Like, and I know there's an argument. People go, you look, you know, Golden Demon, you look back at the stuff 10 years ago, it's not as good as the stuff now, blah blah blah. And you know, I don't buy into that. I do buy into the fact that a lot of the stuff maybe 15, 20 years ago is at a different level. But even then, there's the odd piece. But this does just feel like you're talking about, if you entered it now, like it wouldn't look out of place now.
There's no way I could paint this as good as it's painted. Like, wouldn't put the time in.
There's just some pieces like perfect. In mid 2000s that, you know, they hold up so insanely well, and just because they were so far ahead of their time, that you just brilliant.
Just every element's perfectly painted though. That's the thing. Like I've never painted something that perfect every little bit. That's not, every little line, like these little the 3 chimneys along the top. The painting on the side of them is silly how good it is. There's so much going on, and it's just a little bit.
That's awesome. There's not lots of great chat going on there, as well as me and Matt rapidly trying to delete any of these porn links and all the rest of it that the various bots put in. That must mean we're doing something right. That the viewers or whatever is this. We're now getting random
165
in the chat. So there we go. But I'm glad you guys are enjoying this one. This is we had a lot of debate on this as to do we do it as a 2-parter? Do we, and it was wanting to separate it out from this is just incredible sword winners, which again we could do umpteen episodes on, to trying to find those few pieces that genuinely change the landscape. And obviously Matt aside, we've me, Rich, and Andy have really only been back in the hobby 10, probably nearer 15 years now. But certainly, we don't have perhaps as broad a knowledge as Matt does of the last every single demon ever.
Yeah.
I
don't think anyone has that knowledge compared to Matt.
So,
still have to look at the spreadsheet.
Good to go through it. What's up after this one?
Speaking
Looking
of
forward to more NIDs as well.
Good guy characters.
Apparently there's been some new ones too. Oh, so here's a bit of a hobby celeb, right?
This is big. This like Rich's Thanatar causing a wake after it. This really did.
This is a tsunami.
Yeah. People are still doing shiny marines, and this was definitely one of the first ones, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember an earlier one.
So was this before Joe was at GW, or was this after? Was this when he would have been heavy metal?
It's open, so he's working there, but he's heavy metal. So he's in open category. But he's heavy metal at the time. This was peak Darren and Joe.
Yeah, Darren and Joe.
Stuff, doing the tutorials in White Dwarf. Them two absolutely rocking the house.
Then you had Gareth Nicholas emulated it, right, and produced some incredible stuff. And I think you probably emulated Gareth, right, when you did your first ever entry or Blood Angels.
Oh, definitely.
Squad
yeah,
is just like this style, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like Gareth did, bigger stuff like the Marine diorama, and he did loads of entries that were at the same standard, he did loads of amazing stuff. But this was like the one I think that kicked that off. I couldn't believe that blue armor. I just got into the hobby then as an adult, and I was edge highlighting Dark Angels with Goblin Green out of the pot. So this I just was like, you what? I remember looking at that shin and just being like,
"Is the cables on the back that have got the hazards on them
with the shine through?
Yeah, have they been glossed, or is that painted shine?
Painted shine.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, it is.
But it's fair. Like a lot of people are painting like this now. Like this is the style of a very popular style of painting, right?
I mean, if I could given this Calgar, I couldn't paint this. Not a chance. It's just, Joe is not painting loads of stuff now, but when he does, he's still got it. He's like still amazing.
He's just sculpting amazing models, right?
He did that Orc Shaman though, and I remember just looking at the feet and being like, that foot's better than anything I've ever done.
Is this in metal or fine cast? I can't remember. Metal, yeah.
Fine cast.
I don't think fine cast come till a bit later than that. Mate. Fine cast come out when I was back in.
I can't remember. Dark times.
That is a metal figure. Metal base as well. Big U on it. I still like this Calgar. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's a cool model.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just silly good, isn't it?
Yeah. Like you said, it's interesting to put that whole period of when we were doing Golem Demons from the last sort of 6 or 7 years. there was a point where nearly every entry that had armor on it, the armor was painted like this, and it was almost a feeling like if you didn't do it like this, it wasn't gonna.
That's how those myths come up. Like, oh, they only award stuff that's NMM. Well, no, it's just that's what people are doing.
Well, that's what all the best painters are doing, right?
I reckon if this was in Adepticon next week, it would win in single figure. Maybe not gold, but it would place, right?
Win summer.
Yeah.
Two has just mentioned in the chat about there's some things that will be missed off this list. There will absolutely be things like, and a good example you said is Kirill's freehand, much like Rich. Like if we just zeroed in on the freehand change in the game, you could argue that Kirill had the same impact. But I think you guys felt that with Rich's Thanatar, it wasn't just the freehand.
It was the battle damage.
It was the battle damage over it and all the rest of it.
I did look at Kirill's Land Raider, and I just went, yeah.
Yeah, but people didn't emulate it.
I was going to say that's exactly it, right? If we were just looking at, oh my god, mind-blowing out there pieces, then his are in there plenty.
You should have seen the pieces we said, no, this won't go in, because they were insane. It isn't about, this was amazing at the time. It's, what did people try and emulate? And they emulated Richard's battle damage. They did this shiny marine. And that's, so we got loads of stuff. And don't worry, the stuff you think's missing will be another episode.
That's it. We're trying really hard, not just...
Right, save that for that episode.
Gush over models. Grimaldi's saying this model made him start painting Ultramarines. Well, good times. They're good fun.
Bring back Regal Blue.
Wake 5, has fluorescent paint ever been used in Golden Demon? Someone asked, I don't know if it was you, asked about fluorescent paints earlier. Do we like them? Absolutely. Don't buy Vallejo model colour fluorescent blue, though, because it's bullshit and isn't remotely fluorescent. But some of their other ones are great. But yeah, I think... I mean, I use fluorescence. You use fluorescence, don't you, Andy? To like...
I'm kind of trying to think what I've used fluorescence in for an entry, but I definitely have. 100%.
You showed me about using them, mixing them into a highlight colour for when you're doing like a very sharp like reflection highlight. So like an eye lens, meniscus and things like that. And I found them really good for that, just for giving it a bit more punch.
I used them on all my Zinch stuff, me Olgroid, me.
Yeah, you used. Oh yeah, you were loving the magenta, weren't you, and all of that? Yeah,
that was that dark year.
It's good stuff to come out of it.
Fluoro magenta.
Fuel has the fluor blue. It's awful. It is. It's just blue paint. Like, and for some bizarre reason, I got 2 pots of it. But anyway, completely different.
We got any more picks, Matt? Was that
what we got?
2 more.
On the next.
Right, we better do it.
So
Matt, I think you should lead this one.
This was a interesting one. It's actually a Tamiya kit. It's the Tamiya Dragon Wagon. So it's a bit sort of anecdotal, but it's pretty much the entry that really nailed the coffin in all third-party bits for GW. There was always a little like line on the entry form, but it was pretty much bold on the next time.
Got Chimeras on the back though, mate, hasn't it?
Something like that.
There's plenty of GW bits on it, but it's if you look at the Tamiya model, it's unmistakable.
And it got a nice big write up in White Dwarf before it was ever realised.
It's beautiful, though.
But it's amazing. I remember my dad coming home from work, bringing White Dwarf from WH Smith's, and this was the centerfold. This is kind of one of those like core hobby memories for me.
Wow.
I love this piece. It's probably my favourite GD piece ever.
I mean, talking about models that stand up well now, like this would have people raving if you drop this tomorrow, right?
Yeah, they really do, don't they? All of them stand up so well. It's crazy,
and it's sort of it's super realistic modelling as well, which is really cool. But yeah, it was the piece that banned a lot of free third-party parts.
It's a shame, isn't it? Like, I do get it.
Really
it's especially around this time when they were pumping up plastic production and blah 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 blah. But it is a shame you won't see some of that creativity.
But that's for other shows, right? I think it's fine. I think you do the other shows, but I quite like myself when I'm like, right, I'm going to do my GD stuff, do my Games Workshop, and then I switch to another show, and then I do some other minis. I think it's cool.
But what I was going to say about it is that I feel 20 years on, actually GW now produce so many kits
don't need
that you could do something very imaginative. But if you think back then, 2001, there really wasn't a huge variety, particularly of plastic.
Especially like with this, because this is such an unseen part of the hobby at that point. You know, that backstory of physically driving tanks to the front line, because you don't drive the tank to the front line.
Yeah, where's the dude with his sword?
Yeah, yeah. Onward. That I think is a really interesting aspect of it as well. That this was really showing that backstory to it.
There was a really cool few years of Kevin. He did quite a few pieces, more historical stuff, historical dioramas, but with Games Workshop pieces. Oh, cool. And it was kind of him and Guy Carpenter were really kind of doing these pieces that were like more realistic, and it's kind of
crossover.
It disappeared. It's kind of disappeared, but it is coming back, which is quite cool.
Well, Tuet we were saying about his piece the other week, weren't we, on that backdrop where he used the Thalax, the GW Thalax, but did it in that more sort of
the people are inside it.
What's it called? Tales from the Loop type vibes to it. Yeah. I love this. I want this model. I powerfully want this model.
Massive.
It's in a private collection somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
You try and buy it?
I tried to take photos of it, but it's gone, long gone.
My favourite part of that whole model is the tyre. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I was just staring at that tyre. I think all of the pieces tonight have made me think I need to up my game, and they're all really old. I'm looking at this 2008 model and thinking, man, I've got a long way to go. And it's been 14 years old. Oh, it's not good, is it?
7 days, mate. 7 days.
This is 20 years old.
It's 21 years old.
There'll be people entering that age, I reckon.
Yeah, man.
Should we do the last piece?
So, last one. This, there was a few years after this of quite a few 54mm scratch sculpts from a lot of the sort of the European teams. But I think this was more of the first one that really kicked it off.
And who was the other? Was it Anderson? Mike Anderson?
Mike Anderson.
Yeah. There's the use of the Uriel material for the base as well, and you'd see Darren and those guys use, and I think Gareth as well maybe. But
what's that, mate?
That Uriel sculpty board for the base.
It's like
Do you mean the rocks and stuff, or
no? The steps are made out of this weird material called sculpty board.
Right.
And they all used it, and they used to make these amazing bases with steps. Like Darren did it for his Eldar, and I used to, where do I get this magic material? And I was like, yes, I've got the material. I can do the bases now. Could I? Hell.
It's like
I was like, what do you do with this stuff?
It's meant for it's called tooling block in other industries. It's like rapid prototyping CNC, because it's like a hard compressed
like a plasterboard almost, right?
No, it's like really fine wood kind of. It's weird.
But yeah, everyone was doing bases like this after, weren't they? Like the step layers, bit of texture.
This is so beautiful. This model.
It's amazing.
Like this all of Martin's stuff, his painting, his sculpting is just, and Mike Anderson, because I think you could have chosen either of them, right, for this game changing, right? Because he did Mike Anderson did that Empire dude, didn't he? The gunner.
Yeah, but this is a high off, which is way cool. Fourth best faction, man.
This is just it's just hobby. It's just perfection, and probably about the same size as most modern AOS miniatures, anyway. So
it's actually he had it at 2019 GD in the cabinets with a few of his other pieces.
Yeah.
And it's much bigger than like, it's probably like I don't know.
Contemptor Dreadnought size?
Yeah, something. It's big.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing.
Probably over 60 mil, right? Because it'll be 50 scale,
Probably,
but a tall elf.
Yeah. I was at this GD and I remember
it's
seeing
Guard size. Buy one of them.
But you can't. But you can see.
Yeah. Sometime soon there'll be some maybe not high elves.
So what is it? The oh god, yeah, that one. What's his game changing about it then, Matt? Around this time in the open, we started to see larger scale, right? Is that what you're getting at with this?
Yeah, there was definitely this time, and maybe sort of this was kind of the first real larger scale thing that was like pure scratch sculpt, as far as I can tell. But,
and was this when Martin Wood again was still heavy metal?
Yeah, this was maybe not heavy metal. I think he was always designer, wasn't he?
I thought.
I think he was designer.
Was he only ever designer? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought he was another one of these ludicrously talented. Did both.
No, I think he's a designer.
Right.
He also got people like Alfonso who were doing scratchies, but there was a lot of.
Yeah, Alfonso did that. Chan.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it was. So the game changer there was basically saying, right, if you want to enter open, you're gonna no longer can you just bring a conversion, no longer can you just bring something cool. You need to scratch sculpt not just a model, but a large scale model.
Unless you paint Marnius Calgar like Joe.
But from the world of Warhammer, right? Which of course was something we'd never seen before.
It was this
and Forge World for about 10 years after this did a very small range, didn't they, of larger scale figures and busts.
And then massive
they did some because there was that Space Marine, wasn't there? And there's a few of the larger ones, and this
they were too big, weren't they? Because they were like 150 scale. This is 54. The holy scale. So this is like, why don't they make this high elf? Yeah, it sucks. But I think the basing style as well, really, like everyone was basing, like all the top guys were basing like this.
It reminds me of the old Mike McVeigh like Eldar bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant, this model.
Yeah.
There's nothing you'd change. Again, if they dropped it tomorrow, they're walking away with something, right?
Yeah, I'd buy it as well. this is what I want them to release. This is my dream, 54 high elves. I still want this model to exist.
Well, you're right, mate. We're basically making them, so you're right.
Well, basically, our minis are.
Give it about 6 months, and you can buy this lad on a horse. You'll be fine. I know it sounds real simple as well, but I love the rocks too. Like, I don't know, just everything about this model is so flipping good.
Presentation.
I've not seen it instantly. I've never seen it before.
Oh, what?
Nah. Like when you said larger scale, like the one that always jumps to my mind is that Mike Anderson Empire dude, the long face, burgundy like clothing. I know, but I was out of the hobby during this period.
This is what my taste is basically based on.
I get it. It works.
You basically had Mike Anderson and Martin for a few years just doing large scale sculpture, because Mike Anderson also did the pirate sort of buccaneer type one, and then Martin did the large Grey Knight.
Matt, has anyone perhaps collated some of these incredible Golden Demon entries where I can go and look at them without having to dig through eBay for old white dwarfs?
I mean there is Demon Winner. Can look them on there. Yeah. But there will be a new website at some point, which is
that's exciting.
When I get time.
Come.
Would you like Excel and nicely painted miniatures? Well,
Drew, lookups.
Tui's just put something in the chat saying that'll make you quite excited. He made casts of this.
What?
Yeah, the paint job you see is a cast.
Or Martin did.
Apparently Martin did.
We don't need casts now. We've done it.
No, but for you, if you want one.
Coming to a Kickstarter soon. Well, I
Yeah,
think
the chat can't really get over it. Kay, if we set a date for when we're selling the Dare Guard stuff outside of Kickstarter, no, but it'll be very soon. But there's like 2 or 3 people that, thanks to customs, still haven't got their flipping miniatures. But basically, everyone's got them. So we'll do a stock take of what we've got left, and then that'll go up, and that'll be it. There's not tons, but there's enough. Like if people missed out,
wait for the next one.
So next one will be soon.
Well, I think that's all I've got to say really on these.
Well, I think that was cracking. A great one to end on as well. And I still feel there's at least one more show of this.
I want to do Slayer Sword winners. I want to talk about the best ones, because that was pieces that, some of those were they were silver awards. But yeah, I'd love to just look at some of the Slayer Swords over the years. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. But thanks for Matt and Andy for sort of trawling through and finding what you thought were really there for that. Right, so let's close out the show as normal. When we started the show, we did a hashtag Paint Cultist. It's just for people to show off their work. So if you want to follow a hashtag on Instagram, that is going to expose you to a huge variety of different styles of painting, of different models, model companies, all the rest of it. Bang it in, give it a follow. There's thousands and thousands. I think there's nearly 10,000 tags on there now. It's a great way just to find fun new accounts to follow. And all I do is flick through the last couple of weeks and just grab a handful that jumped out to me and share them with you guys and the guys on the chat as well. So, and I can never remember what they are because I always send him it a little while ago. Oh, this is cool. So this is a Lovecraft inspired. I've been seeing a lot of Lovecraft style minis recently. I don't know whether something's going on. But this is exactly. I'd never in a million years would this model have popped up on my timeline or whatever if it wasn't for that hashtag. And it's just also like, can you imagine painting them trousers?
It's too much tweed.
That's
I can imagine Rich wearing them. But...
I'd wear those. I'd wear that whole outfit. I quite like it.
You'd look good, mate. Maybe that for the next Warhammer World event rather than your cut off tracksuit trousers.
No, I'm gonna wear. So if I go to an AOS one and I take my vamps, I'm gonna go head to toe like really cheesy shit Halloween costume vampire.
Edward Cullen.
Full cosplay. Nice.
Yeah.
Glitter face paint.
You don't see many bald, ginger bearded vampires, do you?
No, it's a niche.
Yeah. Nice, mate. There's something for everyone. But yeah, so it's a big fan. Not come across this account before. I enjoy Lovecraft stuff. I do enjoy Lovejoy as well, to be fair. Ian McShane's a hell of an actor, vastly underrated. But yeah, I do enjoy a bit of Lovecraft as well. So yeah, what's up next?
Cool.
Wouldn't be a show without a Lucas Pina sculpt, really.
Or a samurai.
Did you buy his new one?
With the pig on his head.
Did you buy it, Matt?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did you?
I kind of regret it now.
I just buy everyone default now. don't even think. I just go, yeah. Let's go into my basket.
I particularly liked this to me looks a bit like it could have been painted using like watercolor pencils. You know what I mean? It's got that vibe about it. Looks very, very painted.
Beautiful.
It's just I stared at this one quite a lot when I picked it. It helps. It's a nice photo as well. But like I glanced at it, I was like, oh, it's another like well painted bust, etc., etc. But then this sort of more looking at it, this is one of the most painterly styled minis I can remember seeing. Like honestly, I think it looks like 2D painting.
I do.
Quite a lot of it.
When you zoom in, I completely understand what you mean about like the pencil aspect. Like,
right? Look at his arm, man.
Yeah,
that's straight off some oil painting, right?
And the texture on the blue on the kimono thing that he's wearing.
I also always forget that this is Splinter, isn't it? Human Splinter.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's got a
there's
turtle on the back.
Oh my god, it's got a baby
turtle on the back.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's so cool.
Splinter.
But this is one of those, we talk about it, don't we? Like, he's miniature painting art and all the rest of it. So, I had a legit emotional response looking at this miniature. It's got to be artwork, right? It's got to be.
Everyone used to call me Splinter because they said I looked like a rat.
The light on that face is unreal.
That's
And that
nice.
was the only reason, Rich.
Yeah, apparently. Big nose.
He was really ratty, to be fair.
I was really
I've seen
skinny, really
a
ratty.
picture of him, and I was like, mate, I wouldn't be friends with you if you still look like that.
Oh, nice. Right. But yeah, this is it's wonderful. So yeah, definitely give this account a follow.
Very cool. Good work.
So next, bud. Oh, nice.
Yes.
This is, I thought you might, Rich. I've been following this account for, I don't know, a long time. And it's nice to see the full squad together.
Bloody hell.
It's just a lovely take. I've seen people using the newer Chaos Marines to make sort of heresy, particularly Night Lords and Word Bearers. I think it works well. But it's just a lovely mix of resin and plastics.
Crisp.
I follow this account. It's been, like you said, very cool to see it progress and stick to it. And
I think as well, because they all look very similar, and because they would often post one or two at a time, I think in my mind I'd sort of it almost blurred into one a bit. So it was really nice to see it as a squad.
Lovely blue.
Shout out because he sent me some heads for my Chaos Army. So cheers.
Still absolutely love this resin. Most of these are resin heads. Some of them are conversions, I think.
The Night Lord's headset is
it's fantastic.
It's epic. It's epic. It's so good.
And the Night Lord's Tartarus are so good.
They're cool, aren't they? Those Contica, yeah, they are cool.
Perfect size as well.
Right. What's that next? I think it's 6. Do I 5 or 6, Matt? This was cool. This is an account I think I follow, but it was just one. I've just built this model, so it was on my
Is that Titanicus?
Yeah. Look, it's a big lad. Look.
When did they do that?
It's like
I skipped the memo on this coming from Titanicus.
Big lad. He's about the size of that old box dreads.
Ooh.
Oh, that's cool.
But I just thought it's fun as well with the basing. Like there's some good Titanicus stories which has them fighting through like archipelagos and stuff like that. And whilst I'm a fan of quite generic basing because I like my armies to sort of blend in on the table. But actually, you see stuff like this and you're like, it's just fucking cool. Like I get it. I totally get it. I get why you play on Space Wars on snow, right? I get why you do. You do this sort of thing. But yeah,
fish tank.
Big fan, and I like all the texture he's got into the copper parts as well, like some rusty sort of bits. It's just funky, and fair play on building them because you see the guns, all those panels that have got the like slashes down them.
Nah,
every single one of them is full, so you have to carve out the flash from every single one of them. You have to shim out all of it.
For that reason, I'm out.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. That was a long evening.
Hard pass.
That's a no.
And this lad's done too. Fair play.
That's me gone.
Couple more, Matt, I think.
It's a few more, yeah.
Oh, got to have some Eldar. I know, we'll do the Eldar show soon. Sleeper kit for me, Banshees. I know you've always been a big fan, Andy. But I think I appreciate... I just got a chubby for Eldar. It's disgusting.
You're coming around my way.
8 tits.
I think you should be happy.
I can't because I'm giving them all to you. It doesn't matter. But I like
Xenos scum.
Mate, like there's just and it's always good painters as well. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those ranges that attracts good painters.
Good people do Eldar, right? None of this.
Just look at it all. The base is awesome. The models are so dynamic. That bone armor, they're iconic.
I got a story for you about this one, Stilo. He entered his first ever painting competition.
Yes, that was in the
and he won.
Well remembered.
Well done. Mate.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Nice one. That's awesome.
Won the squad category with this squad. So congrats.
Oh, well remembered on that, mate. I remember making a note of that.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, lucky. I want 10.
Lucky people that are just into their Eldar and don't have to desire to do 1,000,001 other things. And this finishing on my favourite.
Nice.
This is, I still think top 3 Underworlds kits.
Agree. Not
Agree.
I love this different style of painting on them, the bright colours. She's gorgeous, that lass in the middle. Right up my street. But it's
so ugly.
It's just such a just look at this, just how cool, right? 3 models for like a niche little board game / dice, card game / thing GW do. When you've got the Blight King's kits and you've got this and that, but actually, if you just want to paint a few Nurgle models, get this kit. Maybe get that lad on the fly. That's a pretty cool model as well, and be done with it. It's just.
Well, I just did the one,
and you get the cat.
You
get the best cat model in the world.
Nurgle cat.
Color scheme for the cat's amazing, actually.
I look like this is such a great version of them. It's just it was just such a shame that they're actual in the game. They're so shit.
Are they?
They are of that whole phase. They're arguably the worst.
Yeah.
But it's the weirdest because they're probably the best looking and the best models, but they're worst on the table.
How many people though? I reckon Underworlds, the sales of the models must be pretty high. The ratio of people buy them to paint versus actually play must be way off from.
Oh yeah.
Mate, well, I have 5 Underworlds warbands, and I don't own any of the cards.
No.
Yeah.
But I reckon they're probably the most people buy them to paint instead of game, switching, because most people buy to play a game, I'd say.
Well, it's a nice contained, even more so than a Necromunda gang or whatever, isn't it? Right? It's at most 6 models, something like
7.
that. 7, right?
7 spaces on the board, mate, isn't there?
Is that how it works? Is it? But it's that's just wicked. And I love. I would never paint like this. I wouldn't know where to start, but I love seeing it.
Yeah,
you can learn a lot from the colours actually. I did the cat and it was crap, and then I look at that colour scheme and I'm like, that's so much better than my colour scheme. Just a bit of magenta in the recess. I never would have done that. A really desaturated colour, but then a swatch of magenta with bright green.
Do you think as well, the scheme's pretty full on, right? It's pretty in your face. Do you think if it was across an army, it would actually become a bit distracting, a little bit hard to enjoy, and therefore these smaller projects like this are perfect, right, to go a little bit more extreme with stuff?
I think it would work as an army, and I think actually there's breaks, because even though there's bright colours, the Golgok, which is the one on the right, the helmet's very saturated green, but actually the skin's pretty, you've got the blue in the shadow, which is nice, but I think an army of this would look better than most armies, because it's only when you're looking close that you can.
And I mean, this is super close. This is
really, I think if you're playing a game, it would look unreal.
That brightness from 2 feet away, sporadically as well on different parts of different models across the range with all those different other colors, highlighting it, and it would look incredible. I'd love to play against an army like that.
Yeah, I really, really, really.
I think it's brilliant. There's been a few picks of this which have really made me, inspired, happy.
Paint Golgok, mate.
I haven't got this set actually. I really want to get through. I've got the little wolf lads I want to get through. Got them sat just off camera here. I'm really keen to have a go at that and paint a bit of fur and all of that. So
great warband.
Don't paint wolves.
You got PTSD.
More on that next week, maybe.
My hand hurts.
So I think that's it for the picks, isn't it, Matt?
Yep.
Lovely. Phil taking the piss out of HP. Lovejoy. Yes, I know. All right. You never know. Could be the crossover we're all waiting for, Phil.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That tickled me so much. That's, if we ever do a highlights reel, that's good.
But I think everyone's enjoying those. Well, we've come to the end of the show again. God, let's run on. Another belter. Thanks, chaps. Thanks ever so much for watching, everyone. If you do ever want to get in touch with us, we've got all the usual social media places that people need to have now. So if you've got suggestions for shows, if you want to know what we're up to, classes, all that sort of thing, then go to the usual places and it will just be Cult of Paint. It's not difficult to find us, and we like people reaching out to us. We do this because we love it. So do interact with us. We enjoy it. Again, it's amazing to see so many people viewing at the moment. So hopefully we're doing something right. And we're going to try and keep to this schedule and do it. Speaking of, might be a little bit fucky over the next few weeks. So Andy and Matt are going out to Adepticon. We're really hoping that we might be able to do some sort of stream from there, whether me and Rich call them or whatever. But if not, we'll certainly do one the week after Adepticon. So there might be sort of the odd extra week stuck in the middle there. But yeah, thanks again, Andy and Matt, for putting together that main segment. I think there's so much more we can talk about with Golden Demon, man. It's
cool, Matt, really. Well
it's so exciting as well, dude. Like if because of the hard sort of reset that we've had because of the last few years, like it's just feels like pent up energy for it, right? And let's see where the next 10 years of Demon's going to go. And hopefully we're going to be smack bang in the middle of getting to enjoy what people are putting out and stuff. Rich, thanks as ever, mate. Your beard looks lovely. The cave looks lovely, except for that spider. Any new weapons this week?
No, not yet. I need to work out where to put my lovely trophy from the event.
You do?
I need to put some shelves in.
And congratulations again with that, dude. Not only is it awesome seeing you doing the hobby, but it's nice to win a little prize as well.
Is it your best trophy, mate?
Never hurts.
It's my favourite trophy, yeah.
Was it a glass one, or was it one of the ones that looks a bit like a dildo?
I'm really annoyed I didn't bring it in here, actually. But it's a lovely little glass one.
Nice.
Detailed. Yeah, I prefer it to almost... I said this on the way back. I was like, I've got like 7 or 8 gold demons over there, and they're like shitty plastic things that break, whereas this glass thing is fucking perfect.
Nice. Well, this was the episode to bring it on. If you ever bring it on again in the future, we'll just take the piss. But well done anyway. But yeah, thanks ever so much to chat as usual. It's always nice having questions and seeing you guys enjoying it. And if you're watching this back at a later date, thanks for joining us as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, all the rest of it. So with that, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.